I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Thank you for tuning into this important subject. You're about to learn how JFK was really assassinated. You're going to learn about the criminal case against Lee Oswald and how that doesn't measure up to the facts. And you're going to learn who organized and orchestrated President Kennedy's assassination. Let's turn now to the first photograph. We're going to take a look at the first photograph. The red mark that you see in front of you, that's the motorcade route. There's Oswald's position supposedly in the Texas School Book Depository. Kennedy drove down Elm Street where he's hit once. Then he drove down some more and he's hit a second time. You'll see to the right of what will be Kennedy is a white monument building. That's the famous grassy knoll. The president's car will be approaching an overpass. Let's see the second photograph. This is another view of the motorcade, and if you follow the dots, this is how the motorcade went down. It went down Main Street, made a right on Houston Street, went straight towards the Texas School Book Depository, made a very slow, excruciatingly slow left-hand turn in front of the School Book Depository, continued down Elm Street when he was hit. But the problem with this is this motorcade route was changed at the last minute. Winston Lawson of the Secret Service had come down from Washington. He met with Forrest Sorrells, head of the Dallas office of the Secret Service. Together they went over the motorcade route on 2 occasions, and it did not include these turns. So the Warren Commission was concerned about that because logically it should have kept on going straight down Main Street, not making that right-hand turn, because going straight down Main Street, it flows into the Stemmons Freeway. So if there's a conspiracy to kill the president, whoever placed the president's vehicle on Elm Street is part of the conspiracy. As it turns out from the Dallas Police Department, that decision to make these 2 last-minute turns was made by the Secret Service, and it was made the day before the president's arrival in the afternoon. And when you're talking about the Secret Service, you're talking about Winston Lawson, for he's the man who made these incredible decisions. Winston Lawson, before he became a Secret Service agent, was a counterintelligence officer for the U.S. Army. Then he became a Secret Service agent. That means the president, his Secret Service has been penetrated, for one thing. Let's go to the next photograph. This is Elm Street from the position of the Texas School Book Depository from Oswald's supposedly sniper's nest. Now, a little bit after 11 a.m., Julia Ann Mercer was driving down the street. She had to come to a stop because a truck was double parked alongside the right of the road, and she had to wait until traffic cleared before she could move around to the left. Let me describe to you in her affidavit, well, let me read part of her affidavit while you're looking at Elm Street. A man was sitting under the wheel of the car and slouched over the wheel. This man had on a green jacket, was a white male and about in his mid-40s, and was heavy set. Another man was at the back of the truck and reached over the tailgate and took out from the truck what appeared to be a gun case. The man who took this out of the truck then proceeded to walk away from the truck, and as he did, the small end of the case caught in the grass or sidewalk, and he reached down to free it. He then proceeded to walk across the grass and up the grassy hill which forms part of the overpass. The man who took what appeared to be the gun case out of the truck was a white male who appeared to be in his late 20s, early 30s. And he was wearing a gray jacket, brown pants, and a plaid shirt, as best I can remember. Oh, we can return from that photograph. What is going on is Julianne Mercer, she's just seen the face of the man who's going to be firing at the President of the United States. She also got a good look at the driver. What is interesting is when I double-checked the Dallas Police Channel 1 dispatches for that morning, at approximately 11:17, a call comes into the Dallas Police Department, or to the Dallas Police dispatcher, to dispatch a tow truck because there's another truck that is stalled on that portion of Elm Street. then another call comes in to cancel it. So this kind of verifies what Julianne Mercer said in her written affidavit written the afternoon of the assassination. Let's go to the next photograph. The president has landed at Love Field in Dallas, Texas. It's approximately 11:30 a.m. But the problem is, just before he landed, as the plane was descending, Dallas Police Channel 1 went out of commission. It went off the air. And it went off the air for 9 minutes with no explanation. Dallas Police Channel 1, the main Dallas Police Channel, will go off the air one more time this day. It will go off precisely when shots are being fired at the President of the United States. Let's go to the next photo. Now the motorcade has begun. Kennedy has greeted the people at the airport. He's thrilled that so many citizens had turned out in Dallas to see him. 250,000 citizens had turned out. And there's Jackie in her little pink outfit. She looks divine, exquisite. But now look at the man in the sunglasses to Jackie's left. That's the Secret Service agent, Clint Hill. In approximately 45 minutes, Clint Hill is going to become a hero. And he's also going to lose his president. For Clint Hill was in the backup vehicle of the president's, which consisted of the Secret Service agents. When Kennedy was clutching at his throat, Clint Hill made a dash for Kennedy's vehicle, and just as he got to the vehicle, to the rear of the vehicle, Kennedy received the fatal head blast. We can go to the next photograph. This is another view of Dealey Plaza and Elm Street. Kennedy's going down Elm Street, but you see the grassy knoll to your right, and then there's a parking lot beyond it, up in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Let's go to the next photograph. This is the railroad tower of Lee Bowers. Now, Lee Bowers was a railroad man. He's standing in that railroad tower. He testified in front of the Warren Commission. He said that in the 20 minutes before the president came, 3 vehicles slowly entered into this area, which had been previously blocked off for security purposes. Now, what's interesting is that the 3 vehicles all had out-of-state license plates. They all had mud up on the bumper as if they had driven a long way. One of the vehicles had a Goldwater bumper sticker. Goldwater is going to run for president in '64 against Kennedy. And then the 3rd vehicle that entered in these 20 minutes, the driver was speaking into a handheld microphone. So these are security personnel. Let's go to the next photograph. This is a mock-up of Dealey Plaza. You see that white building in front of you. That's the white monument building atop the grassy knoll. You can see the president's vehicle and the motorcycle cops and some more cars in another parking lot. But look at that wooden fence. That wooden fence is very important because in front of that are the trees and bushes of the grassy knoll where so many citizens thought shots came from. Now, Lee Bowers also told the 2 men standing behind that wooden fence in the 20 minutes before the president arrived. They followed the motorcade down Elm Street. He was asked, well, were they still there at the time the shots rang out? And he said, no. The heavyset man in his 40s was still there, but the younger man in his 20s, who also was wearing a plaid shirt, he couldn't discern him because he was in the trees. Now, what is the guy doing in the trees? Now, either he thinks he's a bird and he's building a nest to see Kennedy go down Elm Street, or the man is firing at the president. And note the same description Lee Bowers gave of these 2 men that Julianne Mercer did. Next photograph, please. Now it's 12:29. The president's vehicle has just turned off of Main Street onto Houston Street. What is important is just a minute before this happened, 2 minutes before this happened, once again, Dallas Police Channel number 1 went off the air. And it would stay off until 12:34. The president will be shot at 12:30. That's William Greer, the driver. We can go to the next photograph. Dallas Police Channel 1 is down. The president's vehicle is turned in front of the school book depository. A shot has been fired at this point. You see the motorcycle cops. Kennedy is looking around for the source of the shots over to his right. He has not been hit yet. This shot missed. The Secret Service agents also recognize the gunshot. They're looking to the right for the source. And the citizens, their testimony is that they heard the shot, but then they all figured it might be firecrackers, so they laughed nervously because they thought maybe someone's playing a joke on the president. But it was no joke and it was no firecracker. Let's see the next photograph. The president's vehicle continues down Elm Street after that first shot. You see citizens pouring across from Houston Street to get a second look at Kennedy as he goes down Elm Street. Next picture, please. Now, the president's vehicle will continue down Elm Street, but you can see that woman in the red dress to the left of the screen. That's Jean Hill, a school teacher, and she's out there with Mary Mormon, her best friend. Across the street from her is William Newman holding the hand of his child, and his wife Gail Newman, she's also with her other child. When the president's vehicle draws up to this exact point with William Newman to the right, Jean Hill to the left, that's when he'll receive the fatal headshot. Now, at this point, when the president's vehicle pulls up, it came to a complete halt, which means either William Greer thought the driver, who was also a Secret Service agent, thought the shots are coming from the front, or perhaps William Greer is slowing the car down so that the gunman can have a better shot. Next photo. There's William Newman and his child, and Gail and her child. They've just hit the dirt. Kennedy's been shot. The motorcade is driven off down Elm Street. But look where they're looking. They're not looking at the school book depository. In fact, let me read his affidavit taken the afternoon of the assassination while you look at the photo. By this time, he was directly in front of us, and I was looking directly at him when he was hit in the side of the head. I thought the shot had come from the garden directly behind me. That was on an elevation from where I was, and I was right on the curb. I do not recall looking at the Texas School Book Depository. I looked back in the vicinity of the garden. The only garden are those trees atop the grassy knoll. Next photograph. There's a good picture of Jean Hill in her red coat. Now you see the man running to President Kennedy's vehicle. That's Clint Hill, the Secret Service agent. He was just 1, maybe 2 seconds too late. If he had been a little faster, Kennedy would be alive and there'd be no Central Intelligence Agency. But look at Jean Hill and her view. Now, Jean Hill told the Warren Commission in her testimony that 4 to 6 shots had been fired. After the Kennedy's vehicle went down Elm Street, she ran across the street. She thought the shots were coming from the grassy knoll. She ran up the grassy knoll, hopped over that wooden fence that you previously saw, where she was stopped and detained by a man identifying himself as a Secret Service agent. Now, the problem is there are no Secret Service agents in Dealey Plaza on foot at any time during the assassination. Forrest Sorrells, the Secret Service agent in charge of the Dallas office, told the Warren Commission they only had 28 men. Most were at the Trade Mart waiting for the president. The rest were in the motorcade with President Kennedy and with Vice President Johnson, and they all took off after Kennedy's shot. One agent is with the airplane at Love Field. So this is not a bona fide Secret Service agent behind the wooden fence atop the grassy knoll. Next photograph. This is one moment before Kennedy gets hit. You see the Dallas police motorcycle cop with his white helmet. You see the vehicle. There's Jackie inquiring of the president because he's choking. This gives you a good view of the grassy knoll, how close it was to Kennedy. The closer he got to the overpass, the closer he got to the grassy knoll and from where the men are firing. This is the view that Jean Hill had. Next photograph.